Joe, how disappointing was the defense today?
Well, it cost us probably 5 or 6 runs today, and it's a much different game. It's unfortunate. We had a bad day, and you just got to turn the page, and you got another week to go. We got another week to go hard before we get a little bit of a break, and I think tomorrow's probably a good day off for our guys.
What'd you see from Nova?
I thought he did a pretty good job for not having anything. He didn't have command of his sinker. He probably threw 3 or 4 curveballs out of 20 for strikes. He didn't have command of that. Threw a couple change-ups. But he limited damage and got some ground balls, and he gave up the 2 runs in the first and probably shouldn't have given up another one, but I thought he did a decent job.
What do you think Ramirez was able to do against you guys?
He changes speeds is what he does. He changes speeds with his changeup. When we did hit some balls hard, they ran them down, and they always play great defense, and that's what they did today.
Who else? Bill and George. Yeah, George, Bill.
Joe, does Perella have a play at first after he bobbles
Yes,
the ball?
absolutely. Yeah, and he's got to be able to make that play.
Front row right here, Bill.
Joe, given the fact that certainly early on the way your guys were hitting the ball, but just A-Rod's line drive in the first inning, the double play ball that Didi hit that was hit about as hard as it could be. Was there a sense on your part that the score didn't really reflect what your team was doing in the game, and that there was
I thought we hit the ball better than
a comeback in the offing here?
Yeah, I thought we hit the ball better than 1 run. But, you're going to have days like that. Yesterday, I think when we got the 2 in the first, we didn't hit the ball too hard. It's just some days it's like that. And, I didn't have a problem with our approach, the way we swung the bats today. We just didn't get hits.
Tyler.
So Nova was so good the first couple times. Do you expect a little inconsistency as he comes off that injury, or is it just a bad day?
Well, I think it's probably too early to think about that, but a starting pitcher is probably going to have his A stuff about 1/3 of the time when he goes out there, and he's going to have some B stuff probably about 1/3 of the time, and it's those other thirds that you really got to fight. And I thought he really fought today. I thought he did a good job of limiting damage, considering he didn't have a whole lot today. It wasn't a velocity issue, or he just had a hard time throwing strikes.
Dave.
Joe, with the All-Star reserves coming out tomorrow night, and Alex has had a pretty good first half, put up some great numbers. Do you think, and he's done a great job with defense mending with the other parts of his part too, do you think he's done enough to get on that team or be representative?
I think he's an all-star. When you look at the DHs that he's competing against, I absolutely think he is.
Do you think that's too much to get? Do you think that's too much to get past just the past stuff for him in that regard, or?
Well, I hope that's not what people are looking at, because it's the American League is trying to win the game. It's important. So I hope people can put that behind them. I'm sure there's been other All-Stars that have had some sins against them and have been chosen. So I think he's an All-Star. I don't know exactly when we find out, but I hope he is.
Andrew, right here too. Go ahead.
Stephen Drew now 1 for his last 21. What do you tell him to keep a positive mindset so this way frustration doesn't set in, like you said the other day?
Well, he's hitting the ball hard. You just keep encouraging him, and he'll be back out there on Tuesday. Eventually, you think it's got to change for him, and maybe he'll get some other type of hits that will kind of even out. But he lined out his first at bat today. It's got to be frustrating, but I'll continue to encourage him. I don't know if you've watched the games that we played the last week. He's probably lined out about 6 or 7 times, so there's some bad luck involved.
Andrew.
The double error for Perella, did he have the proper urgency after he misplayed the first ball and then tried to recover?
Well, I'm not sure if he saw where the ball went. That's the one thing I did not ask him. I know it looks like he didn't, but maybe he didn't know where the ball was. It's kind of like when a catcher blocks the ball and it goes maybe to the right, and you look left, and it may not look that way. So that's I didn't ask him.
In the back.
He still had time to get him if he found the ball.
Joe, you guys had lost 3 of your last 4 series in the AL East, and even though you lose today, you win the series against the Rays. I mean, how much did you guys feel like you needed this one?
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important that, we take advantage of winning at home with the type of lineup that we have. So I think winning every series in our division is important. It was very important.
In the back, Joe.
Joe, getting back to the All-Star stuff, you said A-Rod you think is an All-Star. Why? And who else do you think is deserving of a reserve spot on your squad?
Well, I think you look at his numbers as the DH, they stack up against anybody's, number one. Number two, I think Tex is an all-star. I think Mack is an all-star. I think Girardi is an all-star. And I think Dellin is an all-star. Now, will we get 5 people? I don't know. But I think those guys are deserving. And every year, players get shortchanged. It's just the way the system works. I've always thought that they should have more players involved, but they don't. But we'll see what happens.